Hello, you guys, and welcome back to the podcast. So I have a very exciting background with me today, which is my new beautiful home in Chicago. Of course, I'm still in the midst of chaos. It's currently early September. So we have like the boxes, we have bags. I think I had 84 bags and boxes of just shoes and clothes and purses. So here we are, kind of in the midst of the chaos. But today I actually want to talk to you guys about how to stay productive and how to stay focused in the midst of chaos. I was actually just on a call with some of my By the Blazer clients. I'm doing this program called Main Character Sales. And one of the things we were talking about is objection handling and the power of being able to help people come to the realization that a lot of times our objections are just us being afraid of making a move that we need to make. And one of the questions that people ask is like, how do you handle the time objection? Because I feel like I just always have people who tell me it's not the right time, it's not the right time. And my philosophy is honestly like, there's never a good time for anything. And even in my own business, I made a multiple 5-figure investment in July for scaling my business. It's something I haven't been able to tap into a lot because I literally was in the midst of my move during that. I couldn't go to the retreat attached to it, but I know that I needed to make the move and I made that investment. And then on top of that, we've had 2 of our best months in business ever, literally in June and July, when I was sitting there like totally freaking stressed out about like how to handle things and how to balance things and like just making decisions. And it's just been like chaos. So I thought it would be like fun to spend this episode doing like half of it of update of the last 2 months, and then also half of it of like what I did to stay productive and just basically focused in the midst of a lot of chaos. Because I'm gonna be really honest, I have struggled the last 3 months. So it's currently early September. I decided that I was gonna be moving to Chicago in June. I have 2 episodes on moving to Chicago, one on making the move and deciding to move, and then the other one on moving in with my boyfriend. And so if you guys like that, look at the earlier episodes. You guys will see that literally pretty black and white episode title. So very easy to find. And, since then I've had, obviously a lot of furniture to sell. I'm buying a lot of furniture. I was telling one of my friends, because she's like, what's been the most hectic about this whole process? And I'm like, people really don't understand money and like how amazing it is to have it, while also like how overwhelming it is to like watch your bank account like go up by this much and then down and over and over and over. I'm talking like large sums of money. It just feels like extremely overwhelming. In fact, we got a delivery today for an ottoman that I was like so excited for, and it came in and I was like, I hate the color and this is a custom piece and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, another $2,000 added to the budget, like constantly something. And so this process has been kind of like an overwhelming journey. On top of that, like moving to a new state, unloading and loading, thousands and thousands of boxes. Like, it's just like, I genuinely feel like I haven't caught a break. But what's crazy is that, like I said, June was one of our best months ever. July was another massive month. August was quite good for me being very disconnected from the business. And so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an inside scoop on like how I stay focused and productive. A little bit of this is a bit of a repeat from an episode that I did earlier about habits, but I thought it would be very applicable based on everything going on today. So one of the things that I will say is that for me as a business owner and as a just human being that's always busy, it is extremely important that I have a baseline of activities that are like my non-negotiables. So for you, if you're like a working mom, you might have like things that are personal and professional. For me, like my professional things are things that I tend to struggle to be on top of. My personal things I like am really good at prioritizing, so I don't need as much discipline there. But I talked about this before of like our 90-minute morning method of every single morning. I wake up, I put out a piece of content, I sell, I support my clients in the sales process, and I also like support clients in the delivery process. So for me, in our business framework, in the By the Blazer framework, I go delivery, sales, marketing, which again, if you listen to the episode, I talk about delivery being like, I check in on my clients, I make sure they're okay, I give them like, some quick feedback. I basically get my clients in momentum mode every single morning. That's like 10, 15 minutes done. The second thing I do is I focus on sales. So like, are people in the DMs? Are people asking questions? Are there any sales activities I need to focus on? Maybe it's even messaging Lexi and saying, hey, like, is this client ready for a re-sign? Done, right? Like we literally had 2 12K sales, I think this past month, just because I was like, hey, Lexi, can you get the re-sign process going with this client done? So like very easy processes there. And then marketing. Am I getting in front of new people? Am I, making sure that people are aware of who I am, getting my offer in front of them, whatever it is, whatever the focus is for the day. And I do that every single morning. And that is whether it is the busiest day in the world or I have like a completely empty day. Those are like my non-negotiables, because my belief about my life is that if the baseline is always done, that to me is like a needle mover. Like I want you to imagine like this whole calendar, right? And you have to like fill it with the, 365 pegs throughout the year. Like my goal is if every peg is filled, I'm gonna hit my goals for the year. Like I truly, truly believe that our habits dictate so much of the results that we're looking for. And so if I check the box every single day, do the things every single day, I will hit my goals that year. Like I will hit my minimum goals for the year. And I've always found this to be true. So for my business, I'm like, even this past month, which was not an amazing month, August was a pretty typical month, or like I like to call them baseline months. It's kind of like the minimum month that I can hit before I like go into panic mode. August was a baseline month, but our baseline is 2 times what it was a year ago, because I'm so good at the habits that I'm doing. I'm so disciplined in the things that I'm doing that I'm starting to see the compound effect of my efforts. And for me in August, for a week and a half, I didn't do my baseline activities, and it put me in like a huge detriment. So the moment that I was like, I'm stressed, all I did instead of like, doing something crazy or launching an offer or doing something nuts, I was like, okay, I need to like get back to my baseline activities. And I did that for the course of the remaining 3 weeks, and we hit massive, massive, massive sales goals. So like that was extremely helpful to me to say, okay, here I am. I know what I'm doing. I know what I need to be doing. Let me do this every single day. So again, for needing to pack, needing to, unload boxes, needing to pick out furniture, needing to order stuff from Amazon, 90% of what I had to do for my business to keep it moving forward was done by like 9:30 every single morning, which was extremely helpful. And that allowed me then to say, okay, do I have more work that I need to get done? Or can I go shop for furniture, run an errand, do whatever? So that really helped me, I feel like, in the last couple months, because it allowed me to stay focused on like what allowed my business to move forward. And again, business is so much about like compounding efforts. If you are extremely consistent, do you guys, by the way, hear the fucking siren? Is that not like freaking wild? Like now that I'm in Chicago, there's always a siren going, and I'm like, wow, is that gonna be like on this episode? I have no idea. But that allowed me to stay like really, really hyper focused. So again, June was a massive month, July was a really good month, and August was pretty good, but again, more of like a baseline month. So those are the things that kept me really disciplined. Now, as far as like my ability to do anything else, I really just didn't have a lot of that. So one of the things that I'm struggling with here in Chicago is when I was in St. Louis, I would wake up every single morning, typically around 7:30. I didn't really set an alarm. I would start my day. I'd be done with my non-negotiables, my kind of daily activities by like 10. Then I'd have calls from like 10 to maybe 12 or 1. And then by that time, Brendan would typically call me and be like, hey, I want to come over. I want to hang out around 5, which meant that my personal time for my life was between 1 and 5. Well, now Brendan goes to work at 7 a.m. He leaves at 7 and he's coming home at 6:37 or 8, which means that I actually now have 13, 14 hours of alone time. And again, my baseline kind of 90-minute morning method routines, whatever you want to call them, I'm now doing those at 8 o'clock, which means that they are now done by 9 o'clock. And then at 9 a.m., I'm like, I don't have calls for 3 hours. I have all this free time. So I'm kind of having to almost like refine my discipline, because I almost have so much free time, which the pro has been I've been able to work on, house stuff. I've been able to organize. I've been able to unpack. I've been able to do all those things. By the way, like unpacking, holy crap, the shoulder pain, unreal. But I've been able to do some of those things. And then the rest of the time, I'm like, what do I do for business? Now, this brings up a really interesting question or hurdle that I think a lot of you guys struggle with, which is almost having so much free time that you're like, I can just always fill it with business. And this is what's funny is I have this conversation with people that are brand new in business and have unlimited free time or don't have kids or don't have husbands or don't have whatever. And they're just like, I'm just always working. And I also have it with people who have a very, very tight schedule. And it's this idea of, I feel like there's always something I can be doing in the business. And so therefore I'm always grinding, but yet is that actually necessary? So one of the things that I think has been very important to me during this time as I kind of like navigate this like open calendar is how can I make sure that I'm not just working for the sake of working? How am I making sure that I'm actually using my time to be effective, to manage it effectively, to like move the needle? So again, when you have like those kind of baseline activities, I want to remind you if there's not something to do for the business, that at the end of those 90 minutes, you can go chill. So I actually had a client this week that told me, they're like, I had the best month in August ever. I did not have any stress about sales. I didn't have any stress about anything. It's just because every single morning by 10 or 11 o'clock, if she didn't have client meetings that day, she ended her work day. So she was going to the gym. She was going out to lunch with friends. She was like having this free time, having this like relaxation time. And it really just came from the fact that like, if she did her 90 minutes in the morning, that's all she needed to do. And what I think that we forget about as entrepreneurs is that we set up our business so that we could work very few hours. A lot of people assume that I work 60, 70 hours a week. And a lot of the times I'm working 20 hours, maybe 15 hours. I just do my morning activities. I have a couple client calls and that's it. And I want to remind you guys that investing in having a very disciplined, intentional schedule also means that you can have a business that's extremely profitable that also allows your personal life to be at the forefront of what you do. And I think one of the things that I'm feeling really good about is the fact that if this was a year ago, I don't know how I would have done this move. I genuinely had stuff to do every single day. I sold a lot of furniture. I was constantly buying stuff. I was constantly shipping stuff. I was constantly reshipping stuff. I was returning stuff. It's just kind of been this like never ending story of crazy. So that's been like heaviness number one. But then the other side of that is I just feel like it was one of those like times in my business where I'm like, I don't even feel like I earned the sales that I had. And that's when I think I don't want to call it like an I made it moment, but I had one of those moments of, wow, I've really created a business that is not that hard. I've really created a business that is easier. I've really created a business that I don't have to be constantly in hustle mode in order for it to move forward. And this month was a big reflection of all the hard work that I've kind of created. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as, the craziness of this move. I really had to be okay with the fact that like 90 minutes might be all I can give in my business. There were some days that I could do a little bit more. I had Lexi organize my days where I had calls on the same day. So it was like I had 2 heavy call days, the rest were open. And I'm just kind of figuring it out. And the reason that I just wanted to give you guys this kind of like mini episode, if you want to call it that, is you want certain results. You want certain success. Are you doing what it takes to have that by getting rid of stuff, or are you adding stuff to your plate? Because when I think about like my business this last year, I've said this so many times, it's just been because I've just gotten rid of anything that doesn't serve me. So I got rid of additional client calls. I got rid of unnecessary time wasting on stressing about the business. I got rid of, checking Stripe to make sure a payment went through. Like I just got rid of any of that crap. And that meant that when I was actually busy, because I didn't have stuff on the calendar, I didn't have all these things like on my calendar taking up all this time, I could actually fill it with things that I needed to fill. And even though most of the year I don't have a lot of stuff on my calendar, I have a pretty flexible like life. I'm not one of those people who like fills my day with like a museum and then an art show. And then like, I'm just not one of those cool people. That's Lexi. You have to talk to her about that shit. But I at least get free time to kind of fill my day the way that I want. And so every morning I'm waking up, I've been getting ready in the morning, which is now amazing. I finally have clothes on my body that aren't sweatpants now that my clothes have arrived this past weekend. I'm getting ready in the morning. I'm feeling energized in the day. I'm getting coffee during the day. I'm doing, my client calls. I'm being done by 2:00. Then I have 3 to basically 6:00 to do what I want. And then I'm watching a movie. I finally feel totally in control of my schedule. And it actually makes me want to fill it with new work that I haven't been able to touch for a very long time, because I've always had these expected demands of the business. And I just want to let you guys know that that's possible. If you don't feel like that's in your business right now, it is possible for you, but it does require a certain level of discipline and also discernment in looking at what your expectations are for your business. Because I could always market more, I could always sell more, I could always post more, I could always do all these things, but is that actually going to move the needle? No. And so I highly recommend that you guys go back to the episode about my habits, but I also want to recommend to you guys that you have some baseline or non-negotiable in your business and in your life if you're not a business owner of that allows you to win the day. And I was just listening to a fantastic podcast episode with Alex Hermosi on, is it modern ideas, or what is the podcast episode? I'll have to find it for you guys. But I was just listening to this episode and he was talking about what it looks like for him to win the day. And for me, if my business is winning, then it allows me breathing room for me to go win in my personal life. For me, business is one of those things that can suffocate me because I'm such a hustler and I just want to win so bad in business that if I can win in business every single day, I will always naturally win in my personal life every single day. Some of you guys as moms, if you win as a mom that day, every other bucket feels full. That's kind of how I am too. And so being able to have discipline in my morning allows me to then win my day personally. If I knock out everything that needs to be done by 10:00, I now give myself permission to go spend 8 hours doing whatever I want to do. If I feel like I've pushed my business forward every single day, I give myself breathing room to not stress about the impact of what those non-negotiables will do. I just trust that the sales are going to come because I know that the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm saying, and the content that I'm creating and the sales process that I have, all those pieces are set up for success. And even though that wasn't my reality 2 years ago, the discipline of my habits actually curated the impact and the results that I've created for myself now that I can rely on. So it's kind of like this like circular effect of impact. And that is what allows me to win the day. So I guess the thing that I want to leave you all with is when you think about your life or your business or your career or your kids or whatever, what allows you to win your day? If you ended the day and you could only do 3 things or 4 things or 5 things, I would limit it to like 4 or 5. What are those things that allow you to say, you know what? I did what I needed to do. Maybe it's you make dinner for your family every day. Maybe it's, I posted a piece of content every single day. Maybe it's, you went live every day. I don't know what the thing is. Maybe it's you had breakfast every day. Maybe you or making your bed or whatever it is. But for me, that has been like a big thing that's kept me like grounded during this last like couple months. To be honest with you, they've been like some of the most exciting and stressful months ever. I think I'm not adjusting to this idea of a move as well as I thought. I'm having a lot of anxiety about it. It's completely different. My life is completely flipped on its head. But the one thing that has allowed me to be like, all right, this is what we're getting done today. And that is just what I choose to prioritize on a day-to-day basis. So just a friendly reminder how freaking important that is. And also just a reminder that like moving and new adventures and new challenges is so freaking hard, but doing more or suffocating the new thing in order to protect it is not going to make it better. So whatever you guys are navigating, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a new business, whether it's scaling your business or, navigating single parenthood or just God, whatever, like anything that's happening, I want you guys to be really intentional with, what you deem as success, because more is not successful, suffocating it's not successful, overdoing it's not successful. You usually only have a couple things that if you really do them well every single day will put you in a position where you can feel like you are in control and you're moving forward and you see a light at the end of the tunnel. And that has been my saving grace over the last couple months. So I hope you guys enjoyed kind of this short little episode. I just wanted to shoot the shit with you all for the day. And I'm really excited. We have some incredible guest experts coming now that we are in Chicago, and we can have our incredible Chicago community come on the podcast, and also more updates on the move and all the things that are coming with the move. A lot of those pieces coming soon. So I will see you guys next week. Have a good one.